So here's some new info. This 21-year-old Keon King, who they arrested, he turned himself in and then they arrested him, has been charged in connection to the disappearance of Kada. He is now being held on a huge bond, $2.5 million.
I tried to research to see if this is true. It's hard to because, media is not telling us if this is true or not because they're not bringing it up. But supposedly the car was spotted on Facebook Marketplace.
I will tell you this, my niece is still in the area of between the job and the park. That's what I will tell you. I will tell you that there's 3 people involved.
So I'm digging into this Kada Scott case, and I found out that the media is not telling us something with Keon King. He's actually being charged for kidnapping for ransom. This can change the story of what's going on. Not only that, I looked into the facility of where she was living at, where she was working at. And I noticed the facility, there's not a little rinky-dink facility. They're a $1 billion company that had lawsuits on the management company, all kind of things. But let's get into this. This is Fugitive TV. I'm your host, Ray Marcel. Please like and subscribe. I'm trying to get up to 10,000 followers so that way I can start doing giveaways to everybody and, pull names out the hat. But we are going to get into Kada Scott. Now, for you people that don't know, Kada Scott is the missing woman from Philadelphia, okay? She went missing October 4th. She went to her workplace or place of work, which was at the the terrace at the Chestnut Hill living facility. She was working there night shift. I believe it was like a shift from like 9 to 6 in the morning probably. But she showed up to work, and when she showed up to work, she never made it home. Supposedly she went to work for 20 or 30 minutes, walked back out, vanished. Nobody knew where she went. Well, we all know right now that they arrested a man named Keon King. So Keon King got arrested. He's in jail right now. Now they set his bond at $2.5 million.
Yeah, today marks day 13 in the search for Kada Scott, 23 years old, and you mentioned a 21-year-old Keon King now facing a slew of charges, including kidnapping in connection to the disappearance of Kada Scott. Now, we are learning some new details about him, but let me give you a background in terms of where we are and how we got here. Now, Kada Scott was last seen on October 4th at her job at the terrace at Chestnut Hill Senior Living Facility. This is back on October the 4th, and her family has been searching for her ever since.
Keon King also has a previous charge of kidnapping a woman, okay? He kidnapped a woman the same year, back in January. There's video footage of this man trying to break into the woman's house that I'm going to show you guys.
He coming around the window. Go that way, Cameron. Yeah, go away, bye. Go away, bye. Yep, bye. Bye. Go away. Don't come over here. Karen, call the cops. Call the... It's all these kids in here. Call the cops. He coming around the window.
And then an hour after this video was when he kidnapped the woman. He took her in the car, and when he took her in the car, he drove off with her and also had his kid in the back seat, assaulted her. She got away some sort of way. They're not saying if she got away or she was freed. There's conflicting reports on that, if she escaped or if he let her go. But they arrested him. He got out on bond. And they never really pursued the charges because the woman who got kidnapped never wanted to go testify. So they never pursued the charges. And not only that, my last video, I showed you guys this guy has been getting in trouble for the last probably like a few months. He's been getting in a lot of trouble. It's not just that, okay? So there could be other women out there, with priors, that are victims, I should say, where he has priors on and they're not coming forth. Now, in this video that I'm going to show you guys, this video, if you take a look at it, this man looks like a goon. He almost looks like somebody would hire him to go do some of this dirty work. That's kind of what he reminds me of. Like, he's the type of guy that somebody would hire him to go do some dirty work. Okay, so if that's the case, who's hiring this guy? Or is this guy out here just doing it himself, free willy? Now, they're not saying how the relationship happened between the previous woman and Keon. They're not saying that. I wish they would, but they are not. So they're not saying, if they were dating or anything like that. So we all have to use our investigative minds and figure this out, right? Now, they are reopening that case. One of the reasons they are reopening that case, I can tell you, is that without them telling us, but I pretty much know, is they probably have her that's willing to testify. They probably talked to her, and she is now probably willing to testify against him in that previous case. Not only that, this video was out there too, and with her voice on it. So they probably are going to have her testify. And with her testimony, it's probably going to lead to Kada's testimony, because it's probably going to go, or Kada's case is probably going to go right into there. She's probably going to get in the stand, or they're probably going to use footage or recording from her testimony to show this man has a pattern. Okay. Now, Kada still hasn't been found yet. She's missing. They found her debit card. They also found her cell phone case, which is odd, a cell phone case at an abandoned school in the field.
Now, Philadelphia police found some significant evidence at a former middle school near Arboretum here in Philadelphia, right by Germantown, so about 2.5 miles away from where she was last seen. There, it was where evidence was found, including a bank card with her name on it, and her cell phone case was found in that abandoned lot. Then on Wednesday, a tip led police to locate Keon King's vehicle, which was parked at a condominium complex in East Falls. The car was towed and it's now being processed for information and evidence, as police do believe at this point that Scott may have been inside that vehicle. Now, when it comes to the suspect, Keon Scott, 21 years old, as you mentioned, held on $2.5 million bail. He has quite the history when it comes to his rap sheet. We're learning he has a protection from abuse order against him for another woman in a separate case, which is still active until 2027. And we're going to pop up a video that's actually part of that investigation there. The victim in that case recording him attempting to break into her property there. And then that particular case that we're talking about that you're seeing, apparently that was dismissed by the DA's office, that case. But then since Kada Scott disappearing and since Keon King being connected to that allegedly by investigators, the DA had refiled those charges in that case. And not only is he connected to a prior kidnapping case, but also a stalking case, as well as a case as well. So he has quite the rap sheet here, which is why he's held on such a high bail at this point.
Now, I can only think of that maybe the debit card and cell phone case were found together, because you can get those cell phone cases where they have like that pocket, and you can have your debit card and driver's license in it. That's the only thing I can think of maybe why those two were found together, because maybe the debit card was inside the cell phone case. But where's the phone? Now, like I said, they still have not found her. They're still looking for her. Now, her family has went on and did interviews, online and, at Good Day Philadelphia. Now, one thing that they're not telling us is that we all know he got charged with kidnapping, right? But when I looked at the actual charges, kidnapping for ransom. Kidnapping for ransom is totally different than just kidnapping. Kidnapping for ransom, 99% of the time, they have to have some proof that this person kidnapped the victim for a ransom. So did he leave a note? Did he contact the family or some friends saying, hey, I have her and this is what I want? All right, so here is his charges. The first one is kidnapping for ransom. I'm not the brightest color in the crayon box, and I'm not the strongest Avenger, but kidnapping for ransom, usually when they charge you with a crime, they have some evidence that you did that crime. Kidnapping for ransom is different than just kidnapping. So this means he took her and was trying to get a ransom for her, meaning he left a note, he called her parents or somebody in her family or somebody and said, I want this much, or I will not return her. I'm seeing this charge and I'm thinking they're not telling us the whole story, just because of that first charge. The next one is false imprisonment. Then the next is criminal use of communication facility. For you guys that don't know, that is the misuse of, let's say, a cell phone, an iPad, a computer, anything that you can message somebody else on to commit a crime. So this could go a couple ways. Either he was making threats on the phone, which those threats, depending on what he said, could be a felony, or when he was saying, hey, I'm keeping her, or I'm going to do this if you don't give me this much money, that could be it too. So with those two charges, kidnapping for ransom and criminal use of communication facility together, that is making me think that he had communication with somebody after she was gone. The next one is stalking repeatedly, commit acts to cause fear. So he was stalking her, causing fear in her, whether it was calling her randomly, like she was telling her friends, or maybe even showing up at her job. They're not telling us this. The next one is recklessly endangering another person. The recklessly endangering another person could refer to her because he's endangering her. Now, this could refer to another person too. I would like clarity on this. And if that's the case, if she is alive, is there another person out there that could be holding her for this ransom? Is there two people that could be holding her for this ransom? Now, there's a woman on TikTok right now who claims to be Miss Scott's aunt. She is a medium, a psychic, whatever label you want to give her, and she supposedly has helped cases before. And she did say that there was an abandoned school and a grassy area, and that there was a guy with the dreads, and he was going to get arrested.
Everybody, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all so much. Yes, and me speaking on the live, seeing the guy with the dreadlocks in my vision. There you go. Two other people are involved. It's a female. I know one female personally, but there's some jealousy things going on. White truck, near trains, bandit building for sure. For sure. And she's near the trains. Yeah, that's where we at with it. For me, I understand more better because of who I am and how I carry in the spirit world, things of that sort. I will tell you this, my niece is still in the area of between the job and the park. That's what I will tell you. I will tell you that there's three people involved. I will tell you that one person has dreadlocks. I will tell you that the job does know what something is going on with it. I will tell you that my niece got in a car to sit with the parties, and it wound up being a drive-off situation into an argument. It is not sexually that's involved. It is a lot of, assault and things of that sort, and, that led to, it's a transition situation. So that's the update. So if you ever want to have updates on what's going on with my niece or my son's cousin, then yeah, here's my page.
And of course, sure enough, King is a guy with dreads, and he's arrested right now. Abandoned school is involved, so she got that right. But she also said there was railroad tracks. Now, I did look at the map of the school. When you zoom out, if you go to Google right now and look at that school that they found her belongings at, the abandoned school, and you zoom out, you do see railroad tracks. There's like a train system. It looks like it could be a mile or 2 miles away. I'm not sure, but it looks like it could be close by. And I don't know. Does she know anything more than what she's saying, or is she acting like this, or is she serious? It makes me wonder. Now, another thing, usually when people get arrested, or I should say kidnapped for ransom, a lot of times they know that family has money. So I tried looking up Miss Scott's, Kada Scott's family, like her father. I couldn't really find much on Kevin Scott. I couldn't find much on him to see like if he has a business, if he's worth a lot of money. I couldn't find a lot.
With Keon not being with us, and as you know, each day the desperation grows. There's one person out there that is a good friend of his that, has a heart, and understands the severity of this and speaks up. Let my daughter go. Bring my daughter back home. She has loved ones, family, friends that all care about her. She has a bright head on her shoulders, a great future. People make mistakes. If she's alive and breathing, just get her back home. We want her home.
So I don't know. But I just saw that charge, and it made me wonder, like, Is there something that's missing from the story that they're now? I know that they're not going to give us everything. That's not going to happen. But is she still alive? And this is why they're pressing so hard to find her, because she could be being held right now for ransom. Because I told you guys in my last video that him turning himself in, okay, without her or without saying I know where she is, gives himself leverage. He has leverage right now because they all know that he knows where she is, right? But he ain't saying nothing. So he has leverage, which means he has the power in his hands. He can sit there and fight for a better deal and say, hey, I want this deal, and I know exactly where she's at. Or if she is terminated or passed away and no longer living, there's no body, there's no person to do an autopsy on to figure out how she was unalive. So without a body, it's hard to hit them with that first degree terminating charge, capital M charge, whatever you want to call it. It's very hard. They can still do it, but how can they prove it if there's no body and there's no autopsy to show how she even passed? You get what I'm saying? So there's no proof. So it's hard. So he could be going that route. He could be in there saying they can't find her. I'm going to turn myself in. They got me for kidnapping. Now, kidnapping is a life charge in a lot of states. I don't know if it is in Philadelphia, but in a lot of states, that's a life charge. And if they don't have him on video, you know, they only have cell phone records of them talking. Hey, who knows? Now, there are people that were saying that his car, that 99 Toyota Corolla, was on Facebook Marketplace 3 weeks before all this happened. Now, I did pull up some pictures. I tried to research to see if this is true. It's hard to because, you know, media is not telling us if this is true or not because they're not bringing it up. But supposedly the car was spotted on Facebook Marketplace. Here it goes. Your description: runs, drives, no issues, fully tinted. And then it was posted by Albert Keith. I searched this guy, but he's not coming up. So maybe he blocked his profile, deleted it probably most likely. Because everybody with their mom was probably hitting this guy up. And here's the pictures that was on Facebook. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. But this is what I found. I don't know. Y'all tell me. What do you think of this car that's on Facebook Marketplace? Now, I don't know if this is Photoshop. I don't know if this is real. But I figure I'll show you guys because what if it is real, right? We don't know. So this car was on Facebook Marketplace before it happened. So if it was on Facebook Marketplace, was she trying to buy a car? But then again, look at the car. She already had her own car. Did her car have problems and it was about to break down? She need to buy this piece of this junk? Because this car is not the best looking car. So I couldn't see her buying this car. I would see her maybe trying to upgrade from the car she has. But I don't know. I'm not in her shoes, right? So I don't know exactly what could have happened. We all can speculate things. Now, they did say there's communication between the two. There is communication. They were talking. Now, one thing they haven't told us is that she went out on a date right before she went to work. That same day, she went on a date to Top Golf. Now, she went on a date. It wasn't with Keon. It was with another person. She came back home, got dressed, and went back to work. And then ran back out 20 minutes later and got kidnapped.
Again, that was Kada Scott's dad and her uncles on Good Day just yesterday. Now, we're live right outside of the Top Golf along Roosevelt Boulevard, and this is actually one of the locations that Kada Scott was last seen before she went missing. Now, she was last seen at the job, right? But she actually went on a date that night before returning, and so she went on this date with a separate guy, with an unrelated man, and then when she came home from her date, her mom says she saw her for a few minutes before she headed out to go to her job. So these are the two last locations that Kada Scott was seen, which is why we're live out here, hoping that anyone has any information on that. The family has a GoFundMe account. We have a link to it on our website with their own funds to hopefully motivate someone to come forward with information. But also Philadelphia Police has a tip line as well. Anybody is encouraged to come forward with information. Certainly they are looking for the safe return of Kada Scott. Guys.
Please, thank you for that brand new information about she was on a date that night, earlier in the evening at Top Golf, where Shayna is.
And then she went
with a different guy, like Shayna said, a different guy. It's not Keon King.
And then she went to work.
Yeah, that's what I understand. But the police have interviewed him. about how they met and how the date went and stuff like that.
Who was the person she went out on a date with? Does this person have any connection with Keon? Remember how I said Keon looks like a person that can get hired to do some stuff. He just looks like it. When I was locked up, that's the vibes this man Keon gives me. He's the goon out there in the streets that you were hired to go do your dirty work. The way he jumped that fence in that video and did that little crazy karate stance, he shows him he does not care. He does not give any Fs because he's just the goon on the street. He's the foot soldier. That's what he looks like he could be. I'm not saying that's the case, but it looks like. Now, but who was the person she went out with? I just got a lot of questions. I got a lot of questions to this. All right. But you guys let me know. Does this answer any questions for you, or do you even have more questions? Do you think she's actually being held for ransom right now? And that's why they're going so hard to look for her. That's why there's a GoFundMe right now for a person that gives the most information that leads to her. Now, that could be for anything, right? But I don't know. The person she went out on a date with, is he connected with this? You know, why didn't they tell us this? Now it just found out. It looked like it just slipped out the blue. And do you think she's still alive out there? And another one. Do you think this person claiming to be here on is right? That there's two other people involved. She said a female or maybe two females. I don't know. But is there two other people involved? I guess we got to find out. Please like, subscribe. I'm going to give you guys as much updates as I can on this case. This is Fugitive TV. Stay tuned. Turn your notifications. I'm out.